Hello everyone, this is Maiko with Starseed Tarot and Readings, and I am back again with another pick a card reading. This is more so a reading that will help answer any questions you might have about what will happen next, what now, or what do I do now, or just kind of like confirmation too. And so if you are wondering what to do next or what can potentially happen, this could be the reading for you. And so going into each of your readings, I do want you to be open to receiving the messages. Try not to be fixated on a specific answer to your question. Just be open to receiving the message. And so without further ado, we can get started. From the left, this is pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, and pile number 4. At this moment, you can pause to choose which pile is sticking out to you, and when you have decided, go into the description box below, select your pile, and go into your reading. Alright, pile number 1, this is your reading. So I'm just going to pull out the first card. Knight of Cups. Alright, Knight of Cups. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick some more random cards. The Sun. Is it this way? This way. It's this way. And Page of Swords. So I am getting the sense that you are currently coming out of a situation where you're done celebrating, right? Or you've celebrated something and you're trying to figure out, what do I do next? That's mostly because of the Knight of Cups. You can see here the Knight of Cups being the main card that I pulled. It is a knight on their horse taking a break to drink some water, some clean fresh water after a battle or after going into war or even preparing to go into war. It could be something like that. I'm also getting the sense that you are definitely feeling the kind of like accomplishments or seeing your accomplishments being pulled off. So you're ticking your boxes like, oh my gosh, I finally met all my goals, right? You're checking off your bucket list. You're now in a phase where you're like, okay, I've done everything that I want to do. What do I do now? Right? And I do sense that you still have one more thing to do in terms of highlighting your accomplishments or going into a new phase of your life that you're really excited for. The Sun for me is about celebration, youthful energy, just positive vibes all the way. However, you do have the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords as your third card. So I'm even thinking that this card is confirmation of the healing that you've done. Right? Typically in the Rider White deck, the Three of Swords is about having been met with some heartache or some struggles, and that is what you're currently dealing with. That's something that you're currently dealing with, but I'm getting the sense that you are really in a good place. You know you've been able to let go of a lot of things in your life. You've let go of all the traumas. You've, in a way, forgiven people that have hurt you, and you've healed from it, right? I'm even thinking about that song, Scars to Your Beautiful by Alicia Cara. I think that's how you say her name. But you are no longer defined by the trauma. You can feel it. It's not anything that you can say like, yeah, I've healed from it, and then just completely ignore it. You really do feel it. And you don't have to tell people that you've healed from it to confirm that you've healed from it, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I think it has a lot to do too with just how everything has been going on globally, having to sit at home in your peace and really figure out how to heal from everything that you've been dealing with in the past 2 years. And so this is, again, confirmation that you're entering a new phase or new period of your life. You definitely feel it truly in your heart that you have healed from a lot of the trauma that you've experienced. And you know that by just how much you feel that glowing, that golden radiating energy that you've been able to build up these past few days or few weeks. I do feel like your transition or your evolution happened really quickly too. From feeling like you were struggling for the past few years, and now it's just like things are happening so quickly for you. What next, right? The thing is, what is next? Well, you're ready to pick up where you left off, and you're open to learning and trying out new things. So the last card that comes out is a Page of Swords, which is, for me, the page is always about a student, a learner, being open to learning new things. And especially because the Swords comes out, for me, the Swords is about strategy. So relearning how to strategize your next goal, right? I feel like whatever you've just come out of, it's like this learning experience that is more than going to school and accomplishing something and getting your degree, and then seeing that you've like that feeling of like, yeah, I accomplished my academic goals. The next thing to do is this, right? Like, that's more logistical, that's more calculated, but this thing that you just came out of trumps that. It's a feeling that is even more so rewarding than obtaining a degree. It's like, man, you can look back on it and you can think like, oh man, this was so much harder than getting a degree, and yet it's so much more fulfilling. It's so much more fulfilling because you can feel it in your soul, you can feel it in your skin, you can feel it in your body. Like, this accomplishment was a huge game changer for you. And now you're even more so empowered to accomplish other goals. Goals that are fulfilling to you, are serving you and not serving others. And so even though it's not a traditional route, it's fulfilling to you. Like, you are in a place where you no longer give a crap about what somebody else is going to say, and that you're going to still keep doing what you're doing, even though it's a non-traditional way of doing it. And so, yeah, so you're going to enter into a new phase of your life where you're just going to feel like the boss of what you are doing. Nobody can tell you how to do it. You know how you want to do it, and you know it's going to work, right? Like, you don't need confirmation from anyone else anymore. You don't need to check in with anyone else. It's like, no, I know I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to do it this way. And this reading is confirmation of that, all right? This reading is confirmation of that. And the last card I want to pull is this. this card, which is the Six of Cups, is always about abundance. It's always about abundance. For some people, it's about children, either bringing children or working with children, bringing children into the world, or bringing children into the world, or working with children, or having a youthful energy. And so the energy that you're going to be going into this new phase of your life is going to be very enthusiastic, very refreshing look at how you're going to do it. And it's going to be filled with abundance. It's going to be like, it's just going to be such a fruitful experience for you. Like, whatever you're trying to get, whatever you're trying to garner, it's just going to be left and right. You're going to get what you want without demanding or asking things from others. You're just going to get it. It's just going to come to you. And it's going to be such a fruitful experience. Learning-wise, objectively, subjectively, materialistically, things are just going to be good because this thing that you came out of provided you with a different way of looking at the potential of newer experiences or the potential of fruitful outcomes, right? A failure is no longer a failure that is going to block you. A failure just means it prevented you from doing something that you're not supposed to, or a failure is for you now an indicator that it is something to learn from, and it's not anything that's going to stop you from what you're doing. And so pile number 1, this is a really good reading. So key terms, fruitful, abundance, learning something new, completely healing from what it is that you were trying to heal from, and really feeling that and not deceiving yourself or not telling yourself it and not feeling it, but you are actually now feeling it. And so pile number 1, this is your reading. Thank you so much for tuning in, and feel free to leave a comment down below if this resonated with you. If not, that's completely fine. There are other readings that I have that might be of interest to you, or you can pick another pile. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, so this is the reading for pile number 2, and the first card for you is the Queen of Swords. So for me, right away, the Queen of Swords, the Swords is always about strategy, about figuring out the next steps to take. And in this deck, it could be that maybe you could be distracted from what your goals are. You feel like you've been distracted, and you're kind of stuck, right? You have everything that you want, but you're in this place where you're feeling stagnant. Like, where else can I look for ideas, right? What else can I do? So the next cards I'm going to pull, the next cards. So the Three of Cups is always about celebration or connecting with friends or celebrating with those friends. Let's see, what is next? Page of Pentacles. Wanting to learn what else you can do, right? The Page of Pentacles. Page for me is always about being a student or returning to that place of being a student or wanting to learn new information. Connecting it to the Pentacles, it's about money. Sometimes it's about, for me, it's about job, career. So I'm getting the sense that you're wanting to learn something new. You're wanting to learn something new, either confiding in your friends about it, or maybe it could even be that you're outgrowing the group of friends that you have. This one is the Star. All right. So with this card, the Star for me is about hope. So looking at what other potential opportunities there could be. In this deck in particular, for me, the Star then is about wanting to change, wanting to evolve, right? Cleansing yourself. As you can see, she's cleansing herself in this pool. And then at the same time, she's also pouring that water out. So it's like transferring that energy, cleansing that energy, letting that go, and putting that out into the universe. So you're calling on the energy of maybe even, you know, your guides, doing some inner work to figure out what it is that you need to do next. In a way, seeing yourself as separate from the group of friends that you've grown up with, not necessarily cutting ties, but how do you see yourself as an individual aside from this group of friends or even family, right? And it's not anything where it's like a toxic situation. It could just be that you're like, man, okay, what can I do, right? You see all your friends. Maybe it could even be where you see all your friends thriving and now you're trying to figure out your niche, right? And you're wanting to grow with your friends. It could be something like that. And so it's something where you are also dealing with it alone. You could be dealing with it alone because in this card, you're not with anyone else. You are asking from somebody else who is a very unlikely person for you to ask from. Maybe there's a trade-off. Maybe it could even be that you are wanting to go back to school. It could even be that you're trying to pursue a career that a lot of people might not think is you, but you feel interested in. And so you're trying to figure that out, right? You're in this space where you're trying to figure this out. Let's see, Queen of Swords. I'm gonna pull out another card. Okay. Oh. So this one is the Five of Pentacles. And it could be too that maybe what it is that you want to pursue, maybe listening, maybe it's a thing where you could be stubborn and you don't want to listen to what everybody else is telling you, right? So you're kind of wanting to be different. You're trying really hard to separate yourself from either your family, or you're trying to carve that niche out for yourself. And you're looking to show people that you've changed. But the Five of Pentacles for me, in this deck, is about still being stubborn. The Pentacles is in alignment with Earth energy, and for Earth energy, specifically Taurians, because Taurians of the Earth signs are one of the most stubborn signs. Although stubborn, if you're too stagnant, you can turn that energy into a stubbornness that could potentially help you move forward, right? And so that stubbornness could be what is setting you back. So how do you take that energy, right? You're really good at transmuting energy, figuring it out, and then be like, okay, I could use this for the good. You're in a way also a very optimistic person where even if a situation is bad, you can still see it as a good, right? As an advantage. But If you don't know how to direct that energy, it could be your own demise. So figure out how you can still take a good situation, a bad situation, and make it good. Or trying to see your change as not something that has to happen drastically, but what do you already have that you can use to help you move forward, right? So try not to be like, oh, well, so and so's already doing this. I don't want to do that because they're already doing that. But I actually really like doing that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and do something new, right? You're, in a way, trying to reinvent the wheel. And the cards are saying that this is what you're doing. And so maybe what needs to happen or take place next is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just use what you already have to pour that energy into your best ability or the skill that you just excel at and go with it, right? Some of the signs that I've been getting recently too, in just my own journey, is that you could be doing technically the same thing somebody else is doing, but there's a reason why you are unique. Even though you are drawing and this next person is drawing, you have your own uniqueness. And if you hone that uniqueness, you can carve a space for yourself by just honing in on that uniqueness, really defining that space for you. You don't have to reinvent it. You just have to keep practicing and practicing and practicing, and people will eventually see that you are unique. You are different from what these other people are doing, right? So say for example, you want to do makeup, but your friend is doing makeup, but you don't want to do it because your friend is already doing it and you're afraid that you're going to be in competition with this person, so you're not going to do it. How that sounds like is that you're just stopping yourself from doing the thing that you love doing, right? So why not see it as an opportunity to either connect with that friend and do like a partnership or a collaboration, or why not do it where you just keep doing what you love doing? Maybe your friend loves doing everyday looks, but you like doing like the really dramatic, like bridal, bridal isn't really dramatic, but you love doing like the artistic stuff. So why don't you just focus on the artistic makeup stuff, right? So that's an example. I'm not saying this is you. So maybe that's where the distraction is too, right? Is that you're so fixated on what somebody else is going to think that you forget about what you want. So even though you're afraid that you might hurt your friend's feeling for doing something similar to what they're doing, I think that you should still keep doing what you're doing, because in a way, like, you are not her and she is not you. You both are two individual people, and maybe that one thing that the both of you like is what draw you both closer together anyways. And so that's one way of looking at it, right? So if you're too stuck on how you're gonna offend her, or you're too stuck about wanting to be different from her, maybe the change in that thought is that, well, I'm not copying her. This is something that I've always liked to do. I just want to do it. Or maybe you see that she's doing it and she's really happy with it, and that's inspired you, and really own up to that feeling, right? So some people can also take inspiration as people can mistake that feeling of being inspired by someone close to them to want to do something as like jealousy or wanting to copy, right? When inspiration is just inspiration, when you put it down, when you boil it down, being inspired by what somebody else does and really liking what they do inspires you to want to do it too, because that's something that you love doing, right? And so try to pinpoint that. And when you pinpoint that, you can also better convey that to either your friend. If you know that your friend is going to take it a certain way, try to figure out what it is, right? And how to share it or how to convey that. You know, so you could just easily say like you're inspired by them, right? You're inspired by them, and that's what you want to do. And so, you know, that's the best way to do it. Even though a lot of people can't, a lot of people can't even own up to the fact that they're inspired by them because, you know, they want to be seen as unique and individual. So that's also where the stubbornness comes into, not wanting to own up to the fact that you're actually inspired by your friend. Or it could even be like somebody who's a frenemy and you don't want to let them know that they inspired you. So you're like, no, I'm not inspired by you. This is how I've been doing it, right? I think that's also what feeds into toxic relationships, right? Like, really own up to these emotions that you are feeling so that you're not stopping yourself from being successful, or you're not stopping yourself from doing what you love doing, right? Like, don't just set aside a skill just because you're afraid that your frenemy is doing the same thing. Do what you love doing. And, you know, who cares what anybody else thinks? Because in the end, how you do it is going to be different from how they do it, right? There's just simply too many people in the world to be loyal to one person, right? And so, and if that is the mindset, then there is some very toxic power like trip issue that's going on. So that's one way to evaluate it. But yeah, stop stopping yourself from doing what you love doing. I'm also getting the sense that here there is some stubbornness to wanting to help others too. So maybe it's something that you want to do and you don't want to help out that friend, even though that friend knows that you're into that too. You're not wanting to help them because you don't want them to do better than you do, right? So what happens next? Well, what happens next is that you just have to own up to that. You're so distracted by everything else around you, you don't even remember that you're also unique. Your friend or that frenemy is also on their own journey and they're unique. They're trying to figure out what they love doing. I mean, that's why there's a whole category or a whole industry for one particular practice, right? Everyone does it differently. And so that is what happens next. Like, let go of that. Don't let that be your own demise. And you will succeed and thrive in your own best way. And don't be distracted by what others are saying about this other person. Don't be distracted by how that person is doing something similar. You know, so pile number 2, I hope this resonated with you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, so this is for pile number 3. This is your reading, and this is the first card that was pulled. Alright, so we have the 8 of Pentacles. And I'm getting the energy that you've crafted this thing for yourself. You've crafted this thing, you have refined your skill, you have, you know, this thing that you have created for yourself. You have everything that you want. What do you do next, right? Ace of Swords. Oh, the beginning of something new, strategizing. It's interesting too because a lot of swords, strong or higher up swords cards have been popping up in connection to Pentacles too. King of Swords. Okay. And Wheel of Fortune. Alright. So, one thing that popped up right away when I saw these two cards is acceleration. So you could have been in a place of like stagnancy and now you're just ready to like go, 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 right? You're wanting to know what to do next, obviously. And wanting to wanting to know what is next. I'm also getting that you're frustrated because you're not able to see like what to do next with this thing that you've created for yourself. And being okay with that. Something that I'm getting is being okay with that, like just going with the flow and not knowing where it's going to take you, right? That's something that I'm getting. There is some level of having to dig up more information in order for you to know what to do next. You could be hitting a blockage, right? A blockage just because in this card, this guy is like, okay, like something isn't right. What do I need to do? And then with this Ace of Swords, the Falcon is also blinded, right? It has the headpiece. Let me see. Asking for help or guidance. Asking for help or guidance. Right. Maybe it could be that you ask for help from a partner or a loved one. I'm also getting the sense that maybe you are too much in your head about how things are going. Okay. Yeah, and then just enjoying the moment, right? The the Four of Wands? The Four of Wands for me is about celebration of two people. This could be that, let's see, this could be that at one point you didn't see yourself doing this with somebody else, if that makes sense. Either a partner could have been left behind and that communication wasn't there. And so it could be where you have to rekindle with that partner. Rekindling with that partner. It could have been something that was very repetitive, so this is something that you constantly put on the back burner, right? So you constantly put on the back burner, you feel like you have to do this yourself. You don't want to include your partner or that person because maybe you could be feeling like this is, you don't want them to worry about it, right? You don't want them to worry about it. This is an issue that you have to deal with alone. But in actuality, it's good to have that communication. So communicating, it could even be where you have to start telling them like, hey, this is what's going on, right? The Wheel of Fortune, I'm kind of feeling like it has something to do with finances. Could it also be that you are worried about the your career situation? You don't know if you can even advance, and so you're in your mind you're thinking about, okay, maybe I'll have to look at finding a new job, right? Because there's no potential for promoting from where you are, but you know that you have to earn more. Like right now, your debt is just completely over your head, and you have to find a job that's going to pay more, right? It could even be that you don't know what's going to happen next, right? So, okay, everything's coming together now. You're not sure what the fate of your living situation is going to be, either financially or income wise, and you haven't been conveying that to your partner, whoever it is that is in this partnership with you. And I'm getting the sense that you feel that way because you are the person who is supposed to take care of your family, right? Your immediate family. There could be a potential move or transition too, especially with this card right here, the Four of Wands. You could potentially have dreams that you're wanting to fulfill, but you don't know how to make it connect. So you're not knowing how to make it connect as well. And you feel like you can't go to anyone else to make those dreams come true. Like you have to figure it all on your own, right? Like you know that you have this potential. You know you have this thing that you know you're really good at, but you don't know how to apply that and make it into something where you can turn it into a business, right? Like people acknowledge it too. This card is also telling me that people acknowledge that you have this thing that you're really good at. And that you're a really logistical person. You're a very rational person. So you figure out, you're one to just try and figure everything out before you apply it, if that makes sense. A lot of it being in your head, really forcing things, forcing ideas so that they make sense, even though they don't make sense, right? At that moment, they don't make sense. Or for you, you see it and it's too long of a struggle, so you'd rather opt out of it, right? And you want to just go from point A to point B really quickly. So, okay, with the acceleration, that's how you're feeling. You want this plan to accelerate really, really quickly without doing, by doing as little work as possible, right? Like you know how it all works. You're like, yeah, I got everything down, but man, I don't want to be in it if it's gonna take too long to get to where I'm at, right? Like you want that quick acceleration of success. And you have it so locked up in your head that you're not willing to share with anyone because either you're afraid of people telling you like, okay, you can potentially do it like this, even though there's a flaw in the way that you're thinking. You don't want to hear somebody else's opinion because you know the way that you want to do it is how you want to do it, and it's the only way that you are going to want to do it, if that makes sense. So another theme of stubbornness, because again, the Pentacles comes up. It is about earth energy. Earth energy is typically associated with stubbornness. So how do you hone that stubbornness and not make it where it makes you stagnant? Sharing it with others too. What others provide you could be the key to those missing pieces as well. Yeah, like you have this skill, you have this knowledge, but you don't want to tell people how you want to do it because you don't want them to change the way that you want to do it. But that is also why you're not able to implement the thing that you want to do, because you're afraid of people changing what you want to do. So in a way, you're not good with constructive criticism. You're not good with constructive criticism. A part of you not being able to share it with others too is that you haven't yet figured everything out. So, and that's because you're not able to see the outcome yet. So, in a way, because you want to do it how you want to do it, but you haven't seen how it's going to happen, you're feeling insecure about sharing it with others because you feel like it's going to be hard for you to explain it to other people how things are going to turn out, right? So then what happens is that if you're afraid to answer those questions that maybe you don't have the answers to, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't want to share it with people, right? But that's also caused you to be so in the dark that you're not being realistic. You're not being realistic about the situation too. You're not being realistic about the failures or the outcomes. You just want to get from point A to point B as quick as possible. But in reality, that isn't possible. Unless you've already obtained something that somebody else has already created so that you can see success quickly, right? You have to get to a point where you have to believe in yourself enough to be able to build something from the ground up and to own up to the fact that it's going to take time. It's going to take time to build that reputation. You know, there's also this thing where if you feel like you want to see instant success by taking on some success that somebody else has already created, if you feel like you want to experience that success that way, there's still going to be some work to maintain that success. So if you go into it and you're like, oh yeah, I've obtained this, I'm making money for myself, I don't have to worry about building things from the ground up, somebody else has already done it, well, you're still going to have to learn the skills to maintain that success, right? Just because you inherited that success from somebody else doesn't mean that you are able to maintain it. So the message that's coming out is that once you get to success, what do you do next, right? What do you do next? Once you've obtained success, what do you do next? Because if you can't maintain that success, then it's just gonna become a failure, right? So the long-term goal is also important in this, right? The long-term goal is also important in this process. Once you get get paid $100,000 a year, what do you do next? Do you just continue working it or continue getting paid $100,000 a year? Right? Just because you get hired at a position that pays $100,000 a year without doing a lot of work, you could fail at what you do and get fired, right? So maybe it's the figuring out how to get to that point too, and then how to maintain it, right? So the thing that's popping out to me, one of the key words is thriving. How do you thrive? How are you going to learn how to thrive? The typical route is to figure out how to get from point A to point B, but when you get to this point, how do you thrive, right? The Wheel of Fortune, as it implies, is also about a cycle, right? The wheel keeps turning. It keeps turning. It stops for no one, right? Once you hit success, doesn't mean that the wheel stops. It still has to keep going. It's still perpetuating that cycle, right? And so you've obtained this skill. What do you do next with it? And that is what you have to do next, right? Figure out how you're going to thrive. What can move forward? What is the next level? Like, is this it? Once you hit that one goal that you've been working your 40 plus years of life on, what do you do after that, right? Because you still are expecting to live for another, 40 years, right? You're still expecting to live for another 40 years. What do you do next? Once you hit 40 and you're getting paid $100,000 a year. So maybe the plan isn't about hitting another evolutionary level. Maybe it's about thriving and taking time to soak in the successes that you have created for yourself and communicating that with somebody, not being so much in your head. And just learning how to thrive. Even if you can be happy at the lowest point of your life, think about how much you can appreciate the happiness once you are thriving, right? So, pile number 3, this is your message. What to do next? Learn how to thrive. Learn how to thrive at your lowest point so that when you get to your highest point, and what is perceived as your highest point, you can fully appreciate all your experiences together as a whole, right? So thank you again for tuning in. I hope this resonated with you, and feel free to leave a comment down below. And I will see you in the next video. This is the reading for pile number 4. And the first card for you is Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands. Fire energy, beginning of a journey. For some reason, the salamander is abundance for me, or also evolution. Okay. The 10 of Pentacles. Okay. Alright, this is interesting. It's going to take a few seconds to process the cards or the message of the cards. So I said abundance, obtaining abundance, and the 10 of Pentacles comes out, right? Because if you can see, there's a trunk full of coins. So you've either recently inherited a large lump sum of money, or you know that you're going to be receiving it, or it could even be a promotion or a change in career. Something that's going to be better than what was financially what you were at. I do feel like there was some help from something that maybe you did not expect. There's a huge payoff too. I feel like it was a huge payoff where you really didn't think that you had a chance. But somehow somebody came along and assisted you with that. Like a recent breakthrough too. A recent breakthrough. The recent breakthrough, and that being assisted by somebody who let down their guard to be able to provide you with that help. So even help from a higher up. Somebody gave in a word for you, or saw like how hard you've been working. Somebody who you didn't think saw how hard you were working. All right. I am getting the message of beware. Be strategic. Being strategic. The sword energy comes through. You know, being very cautious. That large lump sum of money, right? Be very cautious about how you're going to spend it. Just because I'm getting a lot of energy of caution. You can see with this person, they have all this treasure. They've taken it from one of these cups. And there's a snake wrapped around its waist. And the snake isn't so much of like, oh, bad things are going to happen to you. I take the snake as like, hey, be careful. Right? And it's also constricting the person. Like, there's something that's telling them, don't spend it all in one place, right? Think about priorities, prioritizing it. The 5 of Pentacles in the traditional Rider-Waite deck is about a higher power that is controlling your situation. And it's nothing that you can do about it, right? So it's still out of your control, except for how it appears here is that you can expect that somebody is going to come through and help you out. Be grateful for their assistance. It's going to be someone who you least expect. Maybe it could even be someone who you didn't think was in your corner, but came through to really help you out. Or it could even be the opposite of that. It's someone who you felt was in your corner, but revealed that they really weren't, or they didn't give you that shout out, right? Or they didn't give you that help or that one up. So beware. Obviously, there's going to be people who are going to question this thing that you've just obtained. So again, I said that it was either going to be a large lump sum of money or a promotion. So beware of the people who are going to be hounding you, or going to be trying to manipulate this thing that you've obtained. Let's see here. You could potentially be someone who's very frivolous with your spending, or you just don't see what others see in terms of like the importance of like saving money for priorities. right? Like here, there's, food, money for the house, for family members. Oftentimes you spend a lot for yourself. Even though you don't have people who you are taking care of, um, you know, you tend to just think about yourself, right? I'm not saying you're a selfish person, but maybe this could be a situation when you start thinking about, okay, I have this excess of money. Where else can I give it to those who need it most? Because this card, I'm also getting the sense that it is about charity, right? So I want to believe that whatever you put out, it comes back to you in the same amount, right? And it sounds like karma, and in a sense it is, but karma has to do with the larger grand scheme of things, right? Like your whole soul journey. Whereas this is more so of like in alignment with the idea of law of attraction, right? So if you want more money, then that means that less money is going to come to you, right? In that sense, right? So how do you put it back out into the universe, right? So that it can help you to sustain or it comes back tenfold, is you do so with charity. Some people actually, their luck is a lot better when they are more charitable, right? So everybody has their own way of opening up their luck. How can I describe it? The door that enables luck to come through, right? That door is going to look differently for people. For some people, it's through charitable donations. For some people, it's through helping others, right? For some people, it's the harder you work, the more it comes back, and two times more. For some people, it's by, what's another example? Showing more, giving more materialistically, or giving out more money, you get it back tenfold, right? So it could be a thing where philanthropy could be in your path. If you feel like you just don't have the physical strength or the physical energy to help out someone, it could be in the form of charity, donating your money or donating your time or donating your knowledge to people who are seeking your assistance or your guidance. So giving back in some way, right? Giving back in some way that will help others for free, right? So it's helping others for free. And nothing that you'll gain from that giving back, right? So don't just give so that you know it's going to come back twice. Give because you truly, truly want to give. That could be a question that you have right now. Like, you don't know, like, why is it that you're always stuck with not having enough money for bills or not having enough money to spend frivolously? And maybe the thing is that you are spending too frivolously, and that's why money isn't coming to you as frequently. So it could be a change of that. So being more charitable. Or transforming that thought too, right? Like if you do receive some lump sum of money, but you can't find a local charity that connects with you or in alignment with your mission and goals, because that is a real thing. It could just be that maybe you go to your favorite store and you just go buy like the one product that you actually love that you know is gonna go to like the company, so the company can pay their workers or something like that, right? So it could be something like that. Even though like you may have a different view about what capitalism or consumerism looks like, It could be something like that too, right? Or, you know, you have to eat and summer is coming up and there's farmers markets everywhere. You go buy something and you give, when you buy something from a family who has a farmers market vending, you know, tent, who has a tent at the farmers market, you go buy from them because you know that that money is going to go directly to them to pay bills, right? So it could even be something like that. If you don't feel like you want to be connecting to a charity, you could do that. You know, but I highly doubt that there won't be one that connects with you, just because there's so many charities available out there. So a huge theme is charity. You're going to obtain a large lump sum of money or a huge payoff or a huge promotion. What do you do with that, right? What do you do with this excess? And the message that's coming through is charitability. Being charitable, right? Don't spend it all in one place and on yourself. Think about spreading that to others or who needs that the most, right? So, pile number 4. This is your reading. I hope it resonated with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to leave a comment down below and I will see you in the next video.